to see you all. I'm Esra, and today I'm gonna talk about Flutter's gesture mechanics. And let me just check it out. Okay, we are fine. So first of all, let's meet me. I'm one of the co-organizers of Flutteristas, and you can also see me actively talking in Flutter communities. I'm one of the ex-organizers of GDG WTM communities, and of course, currently a full-time developer in Flutter and Dart. And today we actually have a super short talk. It will be like 10 minutes lightning, then we will have our coffees. And what will we talk about is we're gonna go for touch screens, types, how they work, gestures, gesture detector, how does gesture win the gesture arena, small awareness movement, which I really love related to user experiences, and of course, conclusion and Q&A part. So we are all here to answer this question. How does our swipes and taps are translated into the code? And I just need your full attention only for 7 minutes. It will be pretty quick. Please do not try to grasp every single definition that I'm gonna mentioning. It will be too fast to grab everything, and trust me, go with the flow. So first, we're gonna start with two types of screens. One of them is resistive screens, and the second one is capacitive screens. And resistive ones are the ones that we always see in kiosks, ATMs, and so on. And the capacitive ones are the ones we use in our tablet, computer, actually our smartphone. And you know, when I say what's the difference between those, you can easily probably say sensitivity. And let's go what's happening behind the scenes. So resistive touch screens are actually has two layers, and it's lathered with a conductive material. So when you actually have the mechanical touch and a press, it's actually sends the electricity to processor in XY dimensions, like a plus sign, and then it can match up. It can match up with registers and see whether it does anything. And in conductive screens, capacitive touch screens, we have four layers. The top layer is actually made by mostly, Gorilla Glass and glasses. So beneath this glass, there is diamond-shaped grids that you can see it on the right, separated with a transparent insulator. Normally, it is not like red and blue. It is just for you to grasp the grid and diamond shape a little more. And the material called between is ITO, which is indium tin oxide. It is like excellent electrical conductivity it gives us. And then the bottom part keep the electrons in place so that actually we have negative electric field at the bottom and then positive electric field at the top. So once you actually click on screen, you are literally messing up with electrical field. And then it's just sending the signals, and processor can say, yeah, she touched here, it is like X50, Y100. It is very much more sensitive because it can actually understand what's happening with the electric field change. Then we will immediately go for, yes, this happens. When there is a water droplet, when you are using your gloves, you actually cannot mess with the electrical field much, and water droplets is just causing, it is just touching anywhere. Now it is like not like a regular touch, but it is just getting multiple touch points simultaneously, and it is causing confused behavior. That's why water droplets is not really a friend of it. And when we talk about gestures, of course, probably this is our like daily life gestures that we know. Swipes, pinches, zooms, swipe right, swipe left, double taps, and so on. And once we go for gestures, we always have gesture detector in our mind in Flutter, and it's just a widget that detects gestures. I think all of you had a little probably iterations with gesture detector already. Let's see what's going on with a simple print. In global position, we can see like basic offsets as an XY dimensions. But what's going on behind the curtain is it actually has a gesture recognizer, and it has tap gesture recognizer, and it is actually calling our print function to see what's going on. But when we think about all the stuff and processors we mentioned before, this should be something going a little bit deeper, right? Like, this is just too simple for it. Actually, we have listener widget to see even more raw data about what's happening behind the touch. It has pointer event, and pointer events has position, timestamp, kind, device, embedder ID, and even more. So once we just log this, it is just like simple rectangle for us to see. So now you can see offset, you can see timestamp, pointer device kind as mouse, and so on. This could be touch, mouse, trackpad, stylus. So now you can actually differentiate between device kinds. And you actually have at the end the embedder ID, if in case you connected multiple devices to your main device, let's say. But we have actually another layer of complexity here, because as you can see, the event data there, like the logs, are actually stream of data. And this stream of events coming with its own complexity. It's starting from the first data received by the listener. So once I see this data, we actually don't know whether it's a tap, whether it's the beginning of a double tap, or maybe it's just first data of long press. I don't know. I cannot see the feature. It can't too. So what we're going to do next? This situation called gesture disambiguation, and we actually need to define what's happening behind the scene. There is a gesture arena, and this resource provided by Craig to decoding Flutter. It has recognizers and it's going on like what's going on behind it, but we will just proceed with a small example to grasp what's going on with the algorithms there. So we have our gesture detector, we have tap gesture recognizer, double tap gesture recognizer, long press gesture recognizer, and we have a gesture arena. Now they're gonna start fighting with each other to see which one is winning. And these are our gesture arena members. We have only two rules to decide who's gonna win. First one is at any time, a recognizer can declare defeat and say, okay, this is not me, I'm leaving. Or any of them can say, yeah, it's definitely a double tap, I won this arena. And then we would say, okay, this is the double tap. So let's give it a start with a real life example to see. So we have gesture arena, we have our members, and we have recognizers, and there's a time span going on. Let's say our user had a small touch. Now the fight has started. Well, like 3 of them are waiting to see which one gonna win the next. But around 50 milliseconds, we just got a pointer up event received, which means user just left a finger, and this will actually eliminate the long press recognizer. It will be like, nah, it's just too early for it. Normally, long press recognizer would wait up to 500 milliseconds to say, yeah, it's definitely a long press. Now it's just too short for it. It's leaving the arena. Now we have tap recognizer and double tap recognizer on the arena. And let's say nothing has happened till 300 milliseconds. Nothing is happening. So let's see what's the result of it if nothing is happening. Double tap recognizer will say, unfortunately, there is no other action. It's just going to leave. And it just admits defeats. We only have tap recognizer left. And of course, once there is an only single member stay in arena, it will be tap recognizer winning, and your gesture detector will call on tap function now. And I want to just go for super small thinking out of our habits right now, because I want you to think about gestures we have daily. Now we are actually scrolling through Instagram, and we are doing a lot of horizontal, vertical swipes. Then we see lots of boring stories shared by an influencer. We are like, okay, skip this. Or just now we are just swiping right or left to just ignore that content. Or we are simply double tapping to a picture to like it. And it is actually like quite a habit of us. Now, when I tell you, you can easily simply imagine those gestures. And this is how our habits has evolved. And these gestures are not just simple actions, because now in 2024, these are really primary means of human interaction now, because we are literally living with our phones. And it's even evolving more with AR, VR machines, and so on, that we are just trying to understand what users are doing. And for this talk, I wanted to just give you a little bit insight about what's going on behind the curtain. And I want you to feel, once you are using gesture detector again, or your phone today, I really would like to have a moment to appreciate like the complexity behind of these, and as developers, we are defining these actions. These are getting a habit of users. So it could be even worse than this. We could have just like a picture with 5 taps, or we would just swipe our Instagram with, I don't know, 3 fingers horizontally. This is actually totally possible to program also. And to just have a small going of what did we cover in the 7 minutes, like we go through like different type of screens, we see what's going on technically with electric field and so on. We connected with the gestures, we connected with Flutter and Flutter gestures, and then we went for how these algorithms are getting our gesture definition. So this is quite quick one. You can ask me anything, and in this QR code, I actually have a Google form for you to fill it, because now I just raised the point that let's think about what these gestures could be differently, and I want you to send me with this Google form your outside of the box gesture ideas, and I'm planning to do them in my next talks. And definitely for some submissions, I have some swag. I have some dash. I have some, small pins as a gift and thank you for you. So thank you for listening to me, and hope it just clicks something in your mind, and now it's a little bit different. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Esra.
Thank
Do
you.
you care to join me for a couple of questions?
Yes,
So please sit in the middle.
of course.
All right. Let's see. Let's start with the basics. Why are we replacing all the resistive screen with the capacitive ones?
Because actually the capacitive ones we use in the iPhones, in iPads, and so on, when you consider the ATM kiosk ones, the resistive screens are way much more durable. It's like less costful to maintain and so on. And is this part is also getting recorded now?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
You can.
Okay. Now I will just cut it a little bit slower. I wouldn't want to have a drunk person ordering my burger, hitting my iPad that much, and it would be like causing me some trouble.
Yeah, sure.
So resistive screens are always a go-to to reduce effort, reduce maintaining, they are more durable, and capacitive ones are more of personal and professional use, I would say.
All right.
They're probably cheaper too.
Definitely.
Yeah. So there's a technical question from somebody who's saying that the Google form needs permission.
Form access is not authorized. Okay, I will just
Yeah.
fix it out. I will
Thanks.
just tweet it.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, one other question is, is there any documentation about the time a touch gesture needs, like for
300
example,
for
300
double tap.
millisecond for double tap? Is it a standard, or is it some arbitrary values set by the framework?
Like currently, as I know, they are in framework. Correct me if I'm wrong, because GM also has an amazing talk related to gestures. You can always check it out. But you can actually customize those. You can actually override those values. You can override that gesture detectors, or you can even have your own one, which
Yeah,
he is
definitely.
actually talking about. If you want to just give a couple words related to that.
Yeah, so the value is a constant in the Flutter framework, but the value is also passed as parameter to gesture detectors and listeners and so on. So you can definitely override it if you need to.
So, like in modern phones, compared to the old ones, I don't know if you used old resistive screens. The interaction is much richer with gestures as the link to the type of screen we use.
Like actually, the gesture world is just started with 2007 first Apple iPhone release.
Yeah, sure.
And this is like, that's why it's also one of the revolutionary things, because like 2007 first iPhone release is like first ever capacitive screen successfully used in smartphones. Then once we think about that, literally we just started to have gestures after 2007. So that's why I actually mentioned about our habits. These are like shaped in last years, even almost like last 10, 15 years, that these are like even normal. Right now we are not like new generation and newborns, they are like in 3 years old, they are using those gestures now, but they weren't there before 2007.
Yeah.
So that's actually something I would say always to be aware of. and go for it. And that's why in resistive screens like ATM, kiosk, and so on, you cannot touch the 2 points at once. Like there is no zoom functionality because it just can't.
Yeah.
It just can't understand what's going on.
Fun fact: my mother sometimes is trying to zoom on ATM screens, but
Yeah.
she can't.
It's not. And also, like resistive screen stuff, when you have super huge light hit on that, of course you can see it.
Yeah.
And trust me, you will never be able to see it. It is technically impossible.
Yeah.
So you will be always having this while you're trying to get the money. It's a fact.
There is something that made me curious. You said iPhone is like the first high tech with the capacitive screen used successfully, and that actually ring a bell. Are there other companies that try to do capacitive screens on
To be
mass
honest,
market?
like, as I know, the invention of capacitive screen was before resistive screen.
Okay.
I think it's around 1960s,
All right.
1970s, they found capacitive screen. And then for resistive screens, it just went for, not they say mistake, but it was like a lab iteration that they got resistives, then they just proceed with that. Then they started to successfully use the capacitive screen. So actually it started with capacitive first, but everybody kept using resistive. Then with the iPhone, then we switched the capacitive ones back again.
That's super interesting. Thank you very much.
Yeah, like it is definitely something you need to watch. I wish I could squeeze it, but we just have super short time.
Maybe one last question. What's the most original gesture that you add to an application? Like 3-finger swipe or double long press?
For me, like lately, I'm always having fights related to have the best user experience. So when there's an unusual thing, I'm always raising it and I say not do it because it looks like it is so fancy and good once they like they mentioned in animation, but the user will not be able to find it. Like when I wanted to come with new stuff, I wanted to actually have a form in next talks, probably the following ones, thanks to with your feedback and ideas. For example, while you are filling a Google form, actually you could use sensors to swipe down. Or I would just do like totally switching my phone, then doing like totally different gestures than normal because now we are swiping up and down. And let's put it to horizontal. You click once to a text field. Let's make it a long tap. Let's make it like 3 taps. And there is even more, much more than this. Because in history, as we know, military always raising some stuff for us to improve. And when you think about military conditions, there are like totally different screens and gestures applied there. Now, I need to be able to use my globe. I need to be able to like working as when it's wet, when there is raining, but it should be still sensitive and working as capacitive screens that they have actually PSAP, like projective capacitive screens, and there is even more. And you know, they are not using simple fingers or swipes. In some of them, they are using hand gestures, double hand gestures. So it's even way much more than this and way much beyond than Flutter. So of course, this gives you a little bit more awareness about the tools that we are using now.
Yeah, I think it's you can start with the user's habits and at the base for the gesture you implement, and then if you want to create new habits or you have to make the gesture discoverable, and actually that's what TikTok is doing because the swipe is now becoming a habit, but wasn't at the time, and they just created this small animation when you go to the page for the first time, just teaching you how to swipe up and down. So if you happen to implement some weird gesture, then you might want to make sure that it's discoverable to your user based on their habits.
Totally, yes.
Thank you very much, Esra.
Of course, thank you for having me.
Thank you very much.